How's it going? Kirby Swatosh here. You're probably wondering what we're doing here in a spaceship. Well, we landed here, it landed here 8 years ago, but it's not just my story. It's also my lovely wife, Patricia's story. If you can come on in. Oh, here she is. Anyway, this is the story of the spaceship. The spaceship is about 726 feet in square footage. It's about 40 feet wide. It's all wood frame on the inside. Lots of plywood, lots of wasted plywood because of the shape of it. The material for the roof is called torch down. It's a really thick material. They roll out. This is kind of a width of it right here. And then they use a torch and melt it to whatever structure it is. It did tend to sometimes catch buildings on fire, so they don't use it that much anymore. But for this environment, it worked out really good. It took quite a while to get the windows figured out. As it turns out, the windows are actually skylights, because a window you put in at that kind of an angle, it's going to leak. That's just their design. So everything had to be a skylight. Everything had to be measured just so. And I couldn't have just rectangular skylights, which would have been way cheaper. I had to have them that flared out. It was all done by one outfit, the dome, plexiglass dome, and then that little plexiglass dome there. Custom made, so that was about $11,000. The skirt I did the framing underneath. A lot of measure twice, cut 3 times, throw that away, measure again. I had a friend who gifted me the lights on the bottom part. That's for like real big light shows, stuff you can see from an airplane kind of a thing, which I'm not sure where to go to get more of those. But the rest is just rope light that is actually held up amazingly well over the years. At night, it does light up pretty cool. One of the things that got this ball rolling, aside from the crazy dream, was we just needed another building for cars to park, and we're gonna put a shop on top, and then the shop turned into a spaceship. It's kind of cool, the first thing you see, obviously, spaceship. Then you come down around the real world functional part of it. And one of the last things that I finished for the spaceship was this part here. Kind of made it up as I went, so a person's got to watch their head when they come up, and then this will get a person inside. One of the ways into the ship, or one of the ways out of the ship.
This video is sponsored by Vessi. The Vessi Stormburst are the only pair of winter shoes that you need. They're 100% waterproof, which is great for unpredictable spring weather. They'll keep your feet dry in the wettest of weather, and they're comfortable and stylish sneakers that you can wear every day. You don't need your boots anymore. They're made of Dymatex, a dual climate knit material that keeps you cool in the summer and warm in colder weather, and it doesn't even feel like it should be waterproof, but it is. So click the link below and check out the Vessi Stormburst and other styles at vessi.com/FLORB. Get your Vessi sneakers in the size that you want now, and use code FLORB for 15% off your entire order. And remember to subscribe.
Ever since I was a kid, I was really enamored with Lost in Space. The Jupiter 2 from the show was something I really liked and thought, wouldn't that be cool to have that? About 20 years ago, I wrote a song about building a spaceship in my backyard.
I'm building a spaceship in my backyard. It's gonna go fast and it's gonna go far.
It was something that resonated with people, and it was really popular. And then finally, after 20 years of singing it,
I got tired of it, and let's build it.
She's like, just build it. So 8 years ago, we started building the spaceship, and the idea initially was for it just to be a place for us to hang out in and maybe record.
Party all the time.
maybe, definitely. Renting it out was kind of an afterthought. It ended up being very popular. It turns out there's a lot of people just like us, or maybe me.
Yeah, more like you, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a crazy idea, but just went along with it.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Yep.
I took some blueprints that was on the internet from the original Lost in Space show and took it to an architect over in Portland and said, these blueprints are from a prop that's lived on a soundstage in California. We need a building that can withstand the Pacific Northwest. It took us a while to find somebody who was up for it, and then it was a matter of getting it built from there on. We had somebody in our family who was really good at construction, and he kind of became the general contractor, and everything was expensive because it hadn't been done before. That was probably one of the biggest obstacles, was we were kind of being the trailblazers for it. We borrowed as much as we could, and then we burned through that, pay down the debt, then we'd borrow again, then we burn through that, pay down the debt.
When we just thinking about it, and Kirby was standing right here, and I was standing up on the deck, and he said, well, we're just gonna keep it low, like, let's try 50,000, put a cap to 50,000. And I look at him and I said, just double, maybe triple that.
So that was the main thing, and then just kind of making up as we went, which was kind of good and bad. There was a lot of head scratching, and how do I make this look like what I remember from my childhood with the resources that I have in terms of like design, like mid 21st century, you know, and just that's kind of where I live with that. I love that kind of furniture, and we find it, you know, Goodwill, good friend of ours. Welcome aboard. This is the Lunar Lounge. This was all materials that was given to me when I worked at Costco. I was always checking on scrap plywood and pallets, and like, are you throwing that away? I can take off your hands if you want. Before, I had it covered with actually this material right over here. Pellegrino water would have silver slip sheets, but it didn't hold up really well. The flooring, we had a bunch left over, and I thought, why don't I just use flooring? So my good friend Nick Ortega came over, and together we put it together with the flooring that we had left over from putting the floor down. It has everything you would need. Refrigerator, microwave, toaster, we got a sink right here. Anything that was metal, I thought was gonna be a good look for the spaceship. Over here, dining room area. This was my grandmother's. The cousins who were helping with the actual building, they had this up in their attic, and they were like, we're getting rid of it. And I saw the gray, and I thought, oh, that'll work. And then my wife, Patricia, found these at Goodwill and recovered them. The original ship from Lost in Space didn't have windows looking this way. We have a nice crick out there, and it's kind of a cool view, so I thought it just made sense to put it in there. One of the major differences from the show. And then this is also a brand new addition to our ship here and for our guests. So it's a Murphy bed, and rather than have the traditional one that went up against a wall, as you can see, there aren't a lot of options for walls that go up like a normal bed. We thought about putting one there, but we just like this better. It fits in this alcove a little bit better, so just a better space for it. And add some red accent to it. R2-D2, found him over in the Hawthorne district of Portland at an antique shop. He will hold a keg of beer or just a bunch of ice and beverages. Right now he's holding Mr. Alien Head. Storage area. Inside we have bedding for the sofa sleepers. Also we have cots, and then there's all sorts of fun stuff to wear. Star Wars outfits that the kids wore when they were younger for Halloween. And cleaning supplies. So the ladder system was based off of what I grew up watching on Lost in Space. This would, on the show, went down into the lower deck. Basically the last thing that I did as far as the construction of the ship. So now there's more than one way to come in and go out. Got a sleeper sofa here, and here's the head, also known as the bathroom. That was a bit of a challenge, finding a shower small enough to fit in here. We thought about using a RV shower, something like that, but I was eventually able to find something that fit in here, and it's a little cozy, but it all works. And then over here, the freezing tubes. The Robinsons on Lost in Space had freezing tubes for each member of the crew, and they would get into these, and then through the magic of science, yeah, they would be put in suspended animation. It was going to be for 5 years. This is as close as I could get to it, to their freezing tubes. These actually, the flooring that we're standing on came in 2 big tubes, and I made them into freezing tubes. And then this is kind of like what they had in between each section. This is left over from the French drain that goes all around the ship for the water runoff. And just spray it silver, and there you have it. And then over here is where the flight console would be. This was left over from a film crew that came out. They built a prop and were kind enough to leave it behind. It's not holding up real well with the little kids' hands. These come off. At some point, I'm gonna take all this out, and I'm gonna build a structure that's more closer to the way it was from the show. It'll angle like this, but it'll basically line up with that shelf there. And I'm gonna want to make it more functional in that a switch will turn a light on, for instance, and it won't come off in your hand, which that's kind of what's going on with that stuff right there. And so over here we've got the audio visual station. Once again, it's kind of like it was from Lost in Space. They had a communication, little microphone, and then these are the things that I've added to it. I've had this receiver since I was 18 years old, and still works. Behind it is the, what I call the captain's ready room. CD player, Blu-ray player, Laserdisc player. This little guy here is a privacy panel. So if you back up with me a little bit, and when people want to stay and just feel like they don't have the world looking on, this goes in there. It's a work in progress, and I kind of feel like it'll never be done, and I'm kind of okay with it in a way. I like taking my time, and it's just so much fun to be working on something that was, started so long ago. It's just a dream.